everyone that's watching, good afternoon. This is Bruce Muffson from Summerage of Nevada with another video for you. We want to take a couple of weeks really to process because I'm going to talk about today, from you can read behind me, it's called Coping with Insanity. And this refers to the shooting that took place several weeks ago in Las Vegas. Even if you're from Mars, you know what took place. The mass shooting, 59 deaths, over 500 wounded, and the thousands upon thousands of people affected by this. Now, for those of you that have watched our videos before, you know I normally come with tons of paper and lots of things to write on the board and, always giving example after example. Tonight I'm not going to do that. I'm sorry, this afternoon I'm not going to do that today. The moment's going to speak for itself. I want to talk to those that were there, that were affected, and then not just, unfortunately, the victims themselves, but how it radiates out to affect husbands, wives, children, family, co-workers, extended family. Hundreds of thousands of people were affected by this incident, by that night, by that several minutes of just insane shooting and the violence that it was dictated to other people. For those of you that are dealing with this right now, whether you were shot, whether you were a survivor, whether you were wounded, whatever level of it was. Of course, if you were one of the over 500 people wounded, if you were shot, if you were trampled, my heart goes out to you. And what you're feeling right now is a million different things: denial, anxiety, stress, no sleep, paranoia, fear of open spaces, fear of closed spaces. You're afraid to leave your house. You're having nightmares. All of these things and more. What you're feeling is normal. Normal, normal. And this is what happens when your body reacts to an event is so horrific and trying to understand what happened. The brain is still processing, so to speak. What you're feeling is normal. So at the same point with what you're feeling is normal, I want you to, I can't stress this enough, take care of yourself. Now when I say take care of yourself, don't do anything that's going to be self-destructive. As much as possible, please avoid the drugs and alcohol. That's just a path of dead end and destruction. Exercise, try and get some sleep. Stay involved with your hobbies. Don't abandon your friends and family. Don't abandon your children. Don't climb into a closet mentally. Take care of yourself. If you need to take less hours at work, do it. If you need to stay in bed, do it. If you need to run an extra 5 miles, do it. If you need to just, check out and not go to a certain event, not go to a family function, avoid things that you normally would do that, like they're just too stressful, do it, do it, do it, do it. Take care of yourself. Try not to overeat, just to gorge yourself, to try and forget that way through calories. That's not the answer. If you need to take a long walk, you need to take a hike, you need to go on a trip by yourself, and just think, go to the ocean, go to the mountains, go to the desert. Who cares? Don't give up on things that you enjoy. Don't abandon things. Don't abandon projects. Try and keep yourself focused. But take care of yourself. I can't stress this enough. Talk to someone. Next thing. Doesn't have to be a quote therapist. Could be a best friend. Could be a pastor. Could be someone from high school, could be a coworker, could be a family member, could be a best friend, semi-friend, once a friend. Who cares? Find someone you can relate to. They did a thing where they discussed to the people who survived Pulse last year in Miami, that insanity, and they found that people that spoke to people, whether it was a therapist or someone, were doing 100% better than those that kept it within. Don't keep it within. It's like a cancer that's going to eat you up alive. Get the help that you need. Right now, for the survivors, there's all kinds of counseling options offered here in Las Vegas. And wherever people are going to go back home to, I'm sure it's going to be offered to them as well. Take advantage. If you want to go the therapist route and you can't find the right therapist right away, find another, find another, find another. Find the fit that works for you. But talk to someone that's going to listen, that's going to be there, that's going to care. You deserve it and you need it. Don't be an island. No one's a rock. Okay, next point. Everyone that was there, everyone that watched it, and the people that watch it were having trauma. Everyone is different. Let me just clarify my one picture today. Okay, this is a continuum from 0 to 100. There are going to be people, well, 1 to 100. There are going to be people that were at the event that will say, didn't bother me, go back to work the next day, I'm fine. Nothing. There'll be people that will never go back to work from this. You know what? Who cares? Everyone is different. It's fine, it's normal. But everyone is going to look at this tragedy, at this event, the trauma that affects them on a different level. I'm different than him, than her, than him, than him, than her, and her. Who cares? And if there's no scorecard, oh, you didn't have nightmares, oh, you did, oh, you got workman's comp, I didn't, oh, I have nightmares 2 times a week, you only have it once a week, I had more trauma than you, ha, 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 ha. Forget that, that's nonsense. Everyone is different, everyone processes grief differently. And if you have the ability to endure and go on, great. If you need to have counseling 3 times a week, great, you deserve it. But don't ever think that you have to follow the herd. Everyone is different in how they process this situation and what took place. Everyone is different, and accept that and never feel you have to join the crowd. All right, grief, depression, despair. I've had some terrible things happen to me in my life, and I'll tell you something, it's a marathon, not a sprint. If you think you're going to get it done in 10 seconds or 9.5 seconds in 100 yards, you're crazy. It's not going to work. You'll blow your head off. You'll blow your brains out. You'll blow yourself up. You can't do it. It's a marathon. You think you're going to be like, and you're going to be done? No, it doesn't work that way. It's not like, there's a grief pill and it just ends. It could last the rest of your lifetime. It's very likely that it will in some form or another. It'll recede. It won't be so intense. But it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. Take your time in processing. People are like, well, I have 6 months to get ready. I got to finish high school in 6 months. I'm getting married in a year. I'm finishing occupational therapy now. I went to therapy for 2 years. So what? It's a marathon, not a sprint. Take your time, take your time, take your time. You're going to have good days, you're going to have bad days. Take your time. There's no rush to this. There's no end of the game, roll the dice, you hit a 6, you finish the game, you win the automobile. It's not like that. You go to Candyland, not like that at all. This is your life we're talking about. So take your time. This event was so horrific. They're going to be studying it for the next 1,000 years at police colleges, think tanks, social work schools, everywhere, psychologists. And you know what? It may never make any sense. They're trying to find all kinds of answers right now. It's been about a month since it happened. They have some leads, some small leads, but honestly, anything they were really going to find out died with this person when he killed himself. And that could change too, who knows? But right now, very, very little information explains why a person of his background would do what he did. It won't always make sense. There's an expression, man plans and God laughs. We think we know, like, why is it that, what if I would not have gone to the concert? Or if I would have left the concert 10 minutes early? Or if I would have stayed on stage left versus stage right with a gunfire ripped through? Blah, 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 blah. Can't think like that. It doesn't always like, oh, here's the reason, here's the reason. I'm a religious person, I try to be, and so are most of you probably watching this on some level, and we always look and say, God will give us answers, God will give us an answer. Doesn't always happen. We think we understand, we think we know, oh, I'll leave it up to God's hands. Sometimes these events don't make any sense. You try and come up with some kind of rationalization. Doesn't always happen. So I'm just saying to you, don't look for it too deeply and start trying to find an answer of like, why me? I'd much rather you focus on your own recovery. And I deal with this with people who've been sexually offended by family members sometimes. They're like, why me? Why me? Why me? They look for an answer, or a random murder, or a random attack. Why me? Why me? And sometimes there's no answer. I don't have one even to give. So I'm just saying to you, doesn't always going to make sense. Even if you're faith-based, which is of course perfectly fine, and you're looking, and you're praying, it may not come. So I'd rather you devote that energy to yourself, heal, heal, heal. Thank God you're alive, or if you're wounded, you can hopefully recover to the best of your ability. Focus on that. Don't try and look for an answer where even if he was alive and standing trial, he probably wouldn't get an answer anyway. Like, why innocent people? Doesn't make any sense. So don't look so deeply to find an answer you're never gonna understand anyway, or never even get. Normally, like I said to you, I wasn't gonna bring anything today, but I saw a story last night online that was so compelling. I felt I had to share it. For those of you that are basketball fans, the name Monty Williams should ring a bell. He played at Notre Dame, number one pick of my Knicks years ago. Played in the NBA, and then became an assistant coach and a head coach. On February 9th, 2016, he was at home. He's preparing for a game against another team, blah, blah, blah. And he gets a call that his wife was in a terrible car accident that actually killed her. And his children were in the car. And thank God his kids were in one piece. They were okay, but his wife died the next day. And the woman that was driving the other vehicle was clearly, at that point, on methamphetamines and just intoxicated, and her car slammed into Monty Williams' car. His wife, her name was Ingrid, and unfortunately she died the next day. And terrible, terrible day for him. He leaned on his wife. He called her his rock, and everything was about her. She just ran to have 5 children. She ran the house. Just an amazing woman. And again, he admitted she had faults, but he loved her. He idolized her. He thought she was amazing, and she was in a lot of ways for him and for those that she met. And his death rocked her, and he ended up having to speak about her death, and it was not easy. And in his case, what made people really sit there and almost in gasping and just shock was he talked about his wife's death, also talked about forgiveness for the family that had lost their own daughter. And he said, this is a family that, she did not wake up in the morning thinking, I'm going to kill another person. That wasn't her intention that day, to get up that morning and think that way. So then we need to have forgiveness because this other family is suffering as well. And people would just overcome with the expression of love and forgiveness that he gave. Okay, I'm not saying that you have to think that way about the shooter. I'm not talking about that way at all. I'm just giving you an example of how someone tried to overcome the grief that he was feeling and to try and make sense of it and reach out. There are those of you that might be saying, you know what, I have to pray for his family, for what they're going through. And those of you that are going to say, you know what, screw it, I hope he rots in hell, his whole family. Guess what? You're entitled. That's my point again. There's no right or wrong answer how people are supposed to feel. You may feel one way, she may feel a different way, she may feel differently, he may feel differently. Who cares? But I'm just saying how one person tried to cope over the senseless death of his wife, who was an extremely religious person. And I urge everybody to go to the SI online, sportsillustrated.com, and pull up that story, Monty Williams' wife's death, because it's an amazing story about how he's still trying to cope almost a year later from her passing. Just insanity. So I wanted to clarify that. Here's another thing also. You're allowed to vent and have blue days and black days and be upset, be angry, be frustrated. It's okay. There's a kind of thing here that it says, I just wanted to quote from one paragraph. Everyone who loses a loved one processes grief differently. Some focus on coping mechanisms, disbelief, denial. Others become disorganized, acting out of character and making rash decisions. Still others try to intellectualize the loss, analyzing the situation leading to a loved one's death in intricate detail. To Monty, what he said was the world became either pitch black or blinding white. It lost its grays, which we all use as a way to cope with what we see around us. One minute he was fine, the next thing a tiny thing would set him off. Appetite disappeared. He couldn't sleep on most nights. He wanted to lash out. Often, a lot of times, what happens is you close up, you turn away. And you know what? It's okay. You're allowed to vent. You're allowed to be human. As a therapist, I've had hundreds, if not thousands, of people say all kinds of things to me, crying, screaming, venting, cursing. You know what? You're normal. If you have any kind of real friends, they'll understand that. That if you're cursing, that you're yelling, that you're screaming, You curse God, you curse your life, you curse the death of a loved one, or the shooting of a loved one, or the victimization, or the injury to a loved one. You curse the mental anguish it's causing you. You know what? You're entitled and it's normal. And a good friend, we've talked about this before, find someone, at least one or two friends you can be real with. You know, keep it clean, keep it honest, keep it real. You're allowed to have these days. Doesn't mean you're weak or you have less faith in God or you're not a good person. That's nonsense. You're entitled to vent, to vent, to vent. Closing. And again, my heart goes out to everyone that was at the concert. That concert was so big, like 24, 25,000 people, plus the people that were putting it up and putting it down. How I know this, I spent 2 days volunteering at the Red Cross Center here in Las Vegas, at the convention center, helping the survivors. It was such a large concert that inevitably you knew someone who knew someone who knew someone that was there. And inevitably, through the power of people, I knew people that were at the concert and people that actually were wounded and people that unfortunately were killed through other people. Dreadful. Horrible. And it's going to be like throwing a pebble into a pond, and those ripples are going to go on for decades till everyone that was at the event passes away and their children pass away and even their grandchildren pass away. That's how much the impact this event is going to have on people's lives. But I'm telling everyone that's watching this video right now, do whatever you can to pull yourself back up. Life's precious. Make every day count. Make every day special. You put in this world for a reason. Do I understand what happened? I still don't get it. But for those of you that are alive and still kicking, God willing, and hopefully going to get better, and most of you will get better, don't give up. Don't give up. Climb back up. You deserve it. Okay? Life is so precious. Every minute is worth something. Make something out of it. And from this tragedy, try and find something that can help you go on because you deserve it, because that's what life is meant to be. Tonight, guys, this afternoon, I'm sorry. God bless to all of you watching this. God bless to all the survivors. God bless to all the shooting victims. God bless to all the people that were out there and those that are going to be coping with their families. Give them time, give them space, give them love, give them acceptance. Accept that things will probably never be the same for a long, long time. And you know what? That's also okay. Because true compassion means accepting people for where they are at that moment. And with that, everybody, thank you. We know you're watching, so I'm going to say something trivial like that. God bless. Thank you.